What is up, everyone? Hope you're having a beautiful day so far today. Now, today's episode, episode 32, the one with all of the fletching and invention. We're going to be looking at days 166 through 175, so let's check it out. As you can see, in this first clip, we're getting level 92 fletching, pretty cool. This does unlock magic crossbow stocks, but it's really, at the time that this happened, they were still drastic loss in comparison to magic shield bow use, so I decided to just stick with those instead of spending a whole bunch of money for slight difference in XP, just to make slight profit instead. AFK'd a bunch of things throughout the day. After that, though, I went to do some hunter, trying to get some strange hunter rocks. At Jidenko's, got to level 86 hunter, which is pretty cool. Doesn't unlock anything, but it is still nice progress in a relatively annoying skill, even though, I mean, it's not that bad anymore considering I can do Grenmalls. This is just kind of where I chose to go for some reason. But that was the end of the day at 114 mil total XP, 2254 total level. Let's check out day 167. Began this day getting a lucky Farseer kite shield on Treasure Hunter, which is pretty cool. I mean, as far as I understand, it's pretty outdated and everything nowadays. I don't really know what I would use it for if I was to use it for anything. I know back in the day, shields like this, tier 80 chaotic shields were pretty useful at things like Nex, I would think, but granted that, tier 90 shields, if you were ever to need one for any reason, are still relatively cheap. I don't really see a reason I would ever use this. It looks pretty cool in the bank, I guess, and it's a pretty cool cosmetic. After that, though, went on to complete Ritual of the Majorat. Very important quest, good to finally get done. I've been putting it off for quite a while. If you remember last episode, I did complete all of the prerequisites for it, so that was pretty cool. Just very good to get this done and finally out of the way. Turning in the XP lamps afterward got me to level 88 Herblore, which is pretty cool. Now I can make extreme attacks. I've already started stocking up on a bunch of Herblore supplies that I plan on using over bonus XP weekend, so whenever that does come around, which is almost a month from when I'm making this video, it should be really, really great to start making some of those. That was the end of that day, though. 2255 total level and 115.3 mil total XP. Not a whole lot done, but still some very good stuff. Let's move on to the next day. Began the day getting to level 93 fletching. Pretty cool progress there. Doesn't unlock anything super special, but still another level that much closer to 99. After that, doing some agility during the Huff and Voice of Saren. Got to level 85 agility, which is pretty cool. It does unlock the Advanced Gnome Stronghold course, which is nice because you can use that to work on getting the agile legs, I believe. But as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty outdated nowadays, just in terms of, you have Wicked gear, right? And that, I believe, is even better weight reduction than the Agile gear. Not to mention, training at Prifdinus overall is just better. And I'm pretty sure it's better XP per hour, and it's also better in the fact that you can also train during the Voice of Saren, and you can also train pretty AFK, all things considered. If you angle your camera right, you can click in the same spot for the entire lap. So it's very nice, and I'm pretty sure I will probably never do any Advanced Gnome Stronghold unless I get it for some sort of daily challenge. After that, though, I kind of decided I wanted to take advantage of the party area bonus and train some firemaking and got to level 88 and to level 89. I'm not sure if this was really a great idea considering when I work on woodcutting, I plan on doing a whole lot of Arctic Pines or Teaks. I'm pretty sure one of those is probably one of the best ways to gain woodcutting XP, not to mention you can use Crystallize on Teaks and things like that. And with that, I'm sure I'll be using Superheat Form as well, which will be giving me a lot of firemaking XP, so this might have kind of been a waste, but at the same time, usage is so cheap, and this, in combination with the Brazier, in combination with the party area 5% bonus, I just really wanted to get some nice AFK XP, so that I did. It was the end of the day, though, 2259 total level, a little bit shy of 117 mil total XP. Let's move on to day 169. Began the day continuing my silly mistake in just training firemaking for shits and giggles, really. I got to level 90, 91, and then 92. Now, of all of these levels, the only one that I consider notably important is level 92 because that unlocks the Inferno ads, being that I can now light all of the beacons and try to unlock it. Now, it's a really nice item, or at least it was until Saren Prayers, because getting that extra firemaking XP while training woodcutting is really, really great, and this is also really cool in something like, especially in the Jidenko lair, if you're going for firemaking XP there. But now that I can just superheat form and guarantee that whatever I cook gets burned immediately instead of maybe like a 10-25% chance, whatever it is, it's pretty irrelevant. However, I do still need to get one for the Varrock Elite task, so it is pretty cool to have the requirement in that regard. Unlocking level 85 farming during a farm run, that unlocks Torstals, pretty cool. As far as I understand, nowadays especially, toadstools really aren't as good of money as other herbs are. So I'm going to kind of stick to Kuarm, which is what I've been farming recently. Kuarm, Avanto, and a couple others are about even, I would think, on profit, but I think toadstool is a little bit less, and I don't entirely know why that is. It might be because of boss drops or just a lot of people farming them at higher levels. I'm really not sure, but it's cool to unlock them nonetheless. Ending the day at 118.86 mil XP, 2263 total level. If I could speak properly, that would be great. But that was the end of day 169. Let's jump into day 170. This was the day that Invention was released. So as you can see, logging on, I now have the Invention icon in my skill tab. Have not trained it at all yet, but I did go on to do the tutorial immediately after that, which got me to level 5, which is pretty cool, getting some sort of a boost, starting to understand the skill. And then I was in conversation with a friend, and he told me that a lot of rune items are actually worth a lot more because people were breaking them down for Invention materials, and I decided that if there was ever going to be a good time to sell my Slayer tab, it would probably be now. So I go to the Grand Exchange and I start trying to sell some things. Some of them sell a little bit over mid, which is kind of nice, but most of them just weren't really doing a whole lot, and I figured instead of selling them for what I would sell them for eventually due to elk prices, I would just save them. Maybe I'd find a better time to sell them, or maybe I would just let them stock up for my 99 Slayer tab whenever I do decide to sell that. So, as you can see, I sold like 2.1 mil worth of my tab, but I kept most of the rest for now. I think a lot of the reason that at this point rune hadn't shot up as much as people had thought it would, at least most rune items, there were some rune items that were very expensive, was because at this point still magic shield bows were one of the best ways to train Invention through breaking those down, not only for parts, but also for the strong XP that it gave. Now, I had a bunch of maple shield bow use in my bank that I had just been cutting, whether it be for strange rocks or for part of my jacket trades every day. I had, I think it was 3.9k or so of them, and considering that they were similar to magic shield bow use in the fact that they gave decent parts and they gave decent XP as well, and they were still relatively low priced. Before Invention was released into the game, they were around 97 GP each, and of course I had made them from maple logs, which were like 25 each. So I figured I would just break those down, get some parts, get some XP, and at this point, the time I was actually breaking them down, they were worth around 300 GP each, but they went up as high as 600 or even higher than that. Now, considering that they did go up, I could have sold them for around like 2.2 mil or even more. I didn't really see that coming, not to mention it was some pretty cheap Invention XP considering what I actually put into it, so I'm not super upset about it. All things considered, though, there might have been better ways for me to train. Now, it was at this point that some rune items really did start to pick up, so I decided to go back to the Grand Exchange, try and sell some of the items that I didn't beforehand. As you can see, things like an offhand rune longsword selling for 25k. Even went on to sell a bunch of rune darts, knives, and javelins for well over their mid-GE price, even though I didn't make enough for them particularly like individually. It was significantly more than I would have made for them previously, considering they were only around 150 GP before this, and that alone assumes that they actually sell for that, because prior to Invention, they really didn't have a whole lot of use in the game. Went on to sell some adamant stuff as well, just because adamant has been kind of a cheaper alternative of things for people to break down. At this point in Invention's release, this was still pretty early in the morning. People hadn't fully dissected the skill yet, so this was kind of what some people were going for. At the end, though, I had sold around 12.6 mil worth of my Slay Loot, which I'm convinced is at least 2, maybe 3 mil more than I would have made had I sold it at another time, or maybe even later down the road when things kind of settle down, go back more toward alch value. So even though it was kind of cool collecting a big Slay tab, I think overall I made the right decision in getting a little bit more money out of it. Went on to get to level 94 fletching, and then shortly after this, when Invention was released, there were a whole lot of bugs associated with it and with other things in the game, including if you tried to repair a blood necklace, you would only get your Fury back. You wouldn't get the blood shard with it as well. And I had read about this on the forums, but I didn't tell my friends about it. And by my friends, I mean some of the friends that I talked to throughout the day, every day. And one of my friends, sadly, got kind of fucked by this glitch, and I felt personally responsible in the fact that I knew about it, but I didn't tell him when it's something that I very easily could have done. So I decided to take the money out of my pocket. It was like 7.4 mil or something like that, and took care of his blood shard. And I think Jagex actually gave him another one back after they fixed the bug, so I'm sure he'll pay me back for it in the long run. Overall, it was just me kind of like feeling guilty and wanting to take care of that, so I threw that in the video just so you guys kind of know where some of my money went. If there are some of you that kind of track my money pouch and things like that, I don't know. Now, if you were paying really close attention to the first Grand Exchange clip I showed today, when I just sold a few rune items, you would have seen that I sold 9.4k Magic Shield Bow U's at a little over 2.8k each. These were Magic Shield Bows that I had in my bank that I had just been fletching over the past week or something like that, and I just hadn't sold yet, which is actually super, super fortunate for me considering previously I was buying the magic logs at around $799 and selling the Magic Shield Bow U's for like $819. Minimal profit, just really convenient XP really. And I didn't commentate on this beforehand just because I didn't really notice, but I see that in these clips I am now selling even more Magic Shield Bows because I was trying to fletch throughout the day and make a bunch of profit because they were selling for so much. You'll see in this clip I sold some for even as high as 3.2k and I went on to sell more for that as well. Basically, the Magic Shield Bows that I had in my bank, if I had sold them the day before Invention, I would have missed out on 19.1 mil profit. But because I waited and sold them during Invention, that's 19.1 mil more profit that I made through fletching than I would have otherwise, which is super, super good. Now, if I had sold them for the 3.2k that they pretty much peaked at, as far as I understand, it would have been another 2.2 mil for that batch. Really, all things considered, though, that was like... that's so much profit already that I didn't intend on getting that I was super stoked about it. And I went and I turned that 9.4k Magic Shield Bows into 18k Magic Logs that I bought for 1k each, and I was just on a fletching grind throughout the day. If I remember correctly, I made over 22 mil just fletching in this day, just Magic Logs into Magic Shield Bows. It was fantastic. Not only was it great motivation to make myself fletch a lot, but that's just really good profit considering where I am in the game. I'm not doing any crazy high-level PVM. I'm not investing my bank into merchanting all the time, so considering I made that from fletching, I am super stoked. Now, it was around this point in the day that people were starting to figure out that shops might be a better way to buy items to disassemble for not only Invention XP, but also for parts to use to make gizmos, because this was before the augmentation buff, back when making gizmos was one of the best ways to get XP in the game. And one of the best places to buy things to disassemble was in the White Knight's shop, and to get full access to that shop, you needed to kill 1,300 Black Knights. So I decided to finally balls up, buy a cannon. I wound up selling it immediately after. Bought like 2,000, maybe 2,500 cannonballs, and went through it, all things considered, relatively cheap to finally go from like 0 to 1,300 kills, and it really didn't take that long either, so I'm quite happy that I did it. I still haven't taken advantage of this yet, though, in the fact that I haven't gone to the White Knight's shop, and I haven't spent a bunch of money to disassemble things, and I know I should and I will in time, because I'm still pretty sure that that's a good way to get parts. It's just not something that I've really gone out of my way to do quite yet. Went on to do a little bit more fletching after that, though. I had already told you guys I made 22 mil plus fletching in this day, so a lot of fletching should not surprise you. I got to level 95, which was fantastic, and then I decided to actually train some Invention with the parts that I had just broken down from those Maple Shield Bows, actually, and I got to level 15 and then to level 16. Really nothing too special, and that's pretty much where I stopped Invention until even now when I'm making this video, which is a couple days into the next video. Spoiler alert, I haven't trained a lot of Invention. That was the end of the day, though, at 2281 total level, big boost because of those 16 Invention levels and 120.4 mil XP. Again, I have not trained a lot of Invention quite yet, just because on this day I was mostly waiting for other people to kind of figure out the most optimal ways of training. Not only that, but also just waiting for the market to kind of stabilize with it as well, because it was super hyped up with a lot of people rushing to train Invention, be the first to get 99, first to 120, first to 200 mil, things like that. But now that the augmentation buff has happened, I believe what I'm going to do is eventually I'll grind out disassembling a bunch of things to actually get parts for augmenters, but I think what I'll do is when I actually want to work on some sort of 99 Slayer grind, I'll just do that with augmented gear. And I'd be very surprised if I don't get 99, if not a lot, or like really close to 99 of Invention XP while I'm working on Slayer, and I feel like that'd just be the most efficient way to do it, kind of knocking out combat skills and Slayer and Invention all at the same time. It just sounds very efficient and very time-consuming, and that's probably what I'll wind up doing. Beginning day 171, though, I got the Spring Cleaner, which is kind of cool. I'm not sure how efficient it is to use nowadays. I know it's been altered from the way it originally was. Now you can like put a bunch of springs in it to kind of charge it up and make it better, more efficient. But it kind of goes against my playstyle, which is a very hoarding type of playstyle, and the fact that I like to kind of pick up my drops and save them and stack them up in my bank and see how many I can get. But should, people tell me in the comments that spring cleaner is actually super efficient now, if I can get a good price on springs, and I should really take advantage of that for not only longer Slayer trips, but more profitable Slayer trips, things like that, I would be super interested in getting into that. But again, as of now, I really don't know, haven't really touched it yet, but it is cool to have. Again, after that, more fletching went on to get to level 96. Fletching has just been insane profit over these few days, as I could not turn it down, I really couldn't. I can use the money, and it's, again, great motivation for me to work on, I don't want to say a slow skill, but a very AFK skill that can get pretty boring. So having that motivation to push me has been fantastic, especially considering I wanted to do a lot of fletching to take advantage of that party area bonus before it was removed from the game. So all of these different motivating factors pushing me to do invention, or to do fletching, rather, was so good for this account. That was the end of the day, though. Not a whole lot done. Again, pretty much just fletching throughout the day, and can only get so many levels when you're up in the higher 90s. But again, end of the day, 2282 total level, 121, almost 0.2 mil total XP. Let's check out day 172. Beginning of the day, trying to sell some things. Again, there were some slight changes to invention at this point, but it was mostly due to things like gonodermic and stuff like that, and sadly, a lot of the different spores and things in my inventory were not gonodermic because I don't have the Slayer level for those yet. But I did make a decent amount of money selling like my rune battle axes at 40,000 each. That's pretty crazy considering it's like, it's only a rune battle axe. The hell do you expect to get from it? But so another like less than 300k from my Slayer tab, but I'm trying to keep track of how much of my Slayer tab I sell routinely and keeping tallies on that so I can go back and figure out how much I made on my way to 99 Slayer in terms of items. But again, did sell some things, didn't make as much as I'd expected to in terms of other things not selling. Using up some protean bars though, got to level 86 smithing, pretty cool stuff. And then a buddy of mine wanted to practice his keying or his solo floors, or maybe it was duoing or something like that. And so he needed me to come and leech, and I did. I know, kind of taking some sort of boosting, but at the same time, I mean, it was helping my friend out. It's not like I asked for a leech, it's not like I paid for a leech. So, got to level 87 engineering regardless though. Pretty cool progress there. Still 3 levels off of that Demon Horn necklace. Really want to get that sometime soon. Now this was the day that the augmentation buff had happened. As I had briefly touched on earlier, gonodermic was worth a lot, meaning gonodermic flakes were worth a lot. And that was because of being able to augment gear and getting, I believe it was 18 times the XP you used to from breaking down augmented gear. So I decided to mess with that a little bit, and by mess with that I mean I decided to hunt black salamanders because they were over 40k each. Sadly, there were a lot of PKers and there was a lot of competition for spots, and it got to the point where I was just like, I wasn't in a mood to really fuck with it anymore. I didn't want to keep hopping worlds or keep running away from PKers, and it just became very tedious. But in like half an hour I made like 3 mil, so I really can't complain. I messed with it, I got some money out of it, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm content, good enough. As you can see, even granite lobster pouches were kind of a lot. I went on to start summoning for profit, which kind of sounds strange. Usually you think of summoning for profit, you think, okay, maybe he's making like barker toads or something that just are so cheap to make that they have to be profit. But no, I was making granite lobsters. I sold a lot of them for, well, some of them for like almost 10k, and I sold others mostly around like 5 to 8k, which is still significantly more than you would expect from granite lobsters, and which is kind of a shame considering I wanted to do a lot of summoning during bonus XP weekend and get more out of these charms, but I couldn't resist the profit. I just could not. While I was summoning though, I did get level 82, 83, and level 84 summoning. Pretty cool stuff all around, especially considering it's usually quite an expensive skill. For me to be able to make profit and still get a decent amount of XP was very exciting. That was the end of the day though. 2287 total level is that, and 123.15 mil XP. Bunch of great stuff. Let's move on to day 173. Began the day with level 81 thieving while hunting strange rocks. Then I went on to do farm runs, dailies, bunch of other assorted things throughout the day, but did not get any other levels, no other cool milestones, so ending the day at 123.57 mil total XP, 2288 total level. Let's move on to day 174. Now, on this day, again, this is after the augmentation buff, so things tier 70 and up were quite, I don't want to say expensive necessarily, but they were in demand, they were higher priced than they were before, and I had a krill task that I just hadn't done yet. So I decided to blow 200k tokens on the Caddock staff that I had been waiting for a good opportunity to actually buy. Very happy I got this, quite a nice staff. I'm sure I'll be using this pretty much any time I do any magic, really. I don't really see a reason for me to blow, what is it, like 140 mil or something now on a Noxious Staff, not to mention I can't even use it yet, but I mean at any point in the future, Chaotic Staff really does all that I need it to. Went on to complete my Reaper task though. Got to level 88 magic, and it's funny because going with my buddy that I usually go with, he usually gets every single drop. Because I have my fancy new Chaotic Staff though, I was able to out DPS him I think a total of 2 times. And the first time that I actually managed to get the drop, we get a Garb of Subjugation, which is honestly very hysterical in the fact that, like, of all of the drops we could have gotten, the one time of 2 that I out DPS him, we get what's probably the best drop. And I was very excited about that. It was, again, absolutely hysterical. Very stoked about it. Went on to get a War Priest of Zamorak Helm. Very cool. I think at this point I still need the cape to finish my War Priest set and throw that in my Playground house, but still very cool to be making progress in that. We did wind up finishing the instance though. It was around 3.6 mil each. The Garb sold for, I think it was 4.725 mil, which again, quite a lot more than it would normally be. I believe it before, maybe it was like 3 mil, 3.5. So a decent bit of extra profit through doing this task when we did. Overall, very content, very excited about it. Went on to turn on a crafting challenge after that, though. Got to level 90 crafting. Pretty cool stuff all around. Another skill over 90, quite exciting. And that was the end of the day. 2290 total level, 124.5 mil XP. Great stuff throughout this day. Let's move on to the last day of this video, day 175. Began the day getting to level 86 farming, which unlocks a second spirit tree. I'm still hunting that first spirit tree seed. At this point, I believe I started shifting my my resources in Kingdom Management. I believe I had a full bar of mining, and then the rest was into raw fish, because that's the second most expensive. I took that half bar of raw fish and I put that into maple logs, just because maple logs get you the bird's nests, which can have some good seeds in them. Hopefully would like to get a couple spirit tree seeds, but have not been quite fortunate enough yet. Went on to get to level 97 fletching, really cool progress there, and then went back to Krill with my friend for another Reaper task. I got the cape of the Zamorak cape, War Priest cape thing. Very cool, can finally finish that set, throw it in my Playground house, takes up less bank space, always fantastic. As you can see, we decided to try Loot Share. I'm pretty sure you can get pets through Loot Share now, so because he already has the pet, this was kind of a way for me to try and get one as well. Not like I'm aiming for it, but it'd kind of be cool. But he did get the Boots of Subjugation. Kind of disappointing was not the top or legs, both of which can be augmented. The boots cannot, so not quite anything super exciting. I think they sold around 1 mil, really nothing too special, but cool overall. Got to level 89 magic after that. Not a special level, but only 1 away from 90, so that's pretty cool. And we only made around 1.4 mil each, which not anything too special, pretty typical, pretty standard instance. Sadly was not as good as the last one, which was pretty great considering, especially in comparison to this one, but not really anything I can spend too much time complaining about. So it was the end of the day, and in turn the end of the episode. 2293 total level, almost 127 points, or 125.7 mil total XP. There's been fantastic progress throughout this episode, not only in terms of XP, completing Ritual of the Majra, getting an important quest done, in terms of overall level gains, just mostly due to the 16 invention levels, but in terms of other levels as well, and the monetary gains as well from just making so much money from fletching, really, and messing with some other things in the market with the release of Invention. It's been overall a very great episode. I would like to take a second to apologize for the harshness of my vocals in this video. My old headphones kind of broke, and my old headphones had the mic on them that I used. So I'm pretty much recording this with only my phone mic, without any sort of good microphone attachment. So I'm sorry if that's been unbearable. Kind of sucks for me too. I went to look for new headphones today, but they didn't have the kind that I wanted, so this is kind of what we're stuck with. And I wanted to get out the video sooner rather than later, so again, I'm sorry about that. Hope you have still been able to enjoy the episode, though. Hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Stay happy. Stay tuned for next episode, because I will return and I will rebuild.